Thank you. Okay. All right. So, for example, so now you've created this holistic context. Remember, at first, you first of all defined where your funds are coming from. And then obviously you're also defining what your statement of purpose, what you are about. You're about regeneration and everything. And then you've defined your holistic context. This is the quality of life that we want and the future that we want to leave behind. And then I had these few slides, but maybe to tackle and discuss a bit of Laurie's question. For example, Stanley, can you read it again, the question?
The question is, can you give an example of how an opportunity that comes up for you or your village or your organization or your village, and how the context helps to make the right decision, taking you towards the future you want?
All right. Okay. So I think let's hold that thought. I'll ask you, Stanley, to read it again when we get to that actual part. Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. Thanks, Laurie, for bringing it up. It's just that my PowerPoint was doing funny things. Okay. So we go back again to actually making decisions. Now that we have we've defined the whole place that we manage, and then we defined also and said our holistic context. And then now the idea is you are not putting the holistic context on the wall and forgetting about it. It's now our Brent used that word with the needle. It's our pointer, it's our campus, it's our focus. Every decision that we make is taking us towards this life that we said we desire. But the human tendency and how we have evolved as humans, and even at school, how we are taught to make decisions, it's very, I would like to use the word difficult, except you intentionally always ask yourself those important questions. It's always, oh yeah, okay, I have this problem, I will solve it with A, B, C, and D. But then there's always a chance that every time we make a decision from a distance or based on achieving a certain goal, because that decision looks good at the moment, you are likely to also have things that don't look good that may come up because of that decision, for example. So let's look at it. So sometimes we get unexpected results when we intended well, but then we always get unexpected results. I don't know if you have examples in your head of things that you did thinking that, you know what, I thought that was going to be the response even from a person. But because you assumed that that's how they're going to respond, you quickly overlooked what your statement could have meant in other ways. I don't know if that is clear. So I have a small case here of a thing that I found, and I thought it was really amazing for our learning today. So let's say you're a farmer, you're growing chickens or broilers or layers or kuku makaya, whatever. You have this enterprise. And then you post to a group of your friends and you're like, help, I just saw a rat in my chicken house or chicken coop or chicken fowl run. Yeah, it's a fowl run. So it's the first time ever that I've seen this rat. What do I do? And then you have two awesome friends who say, come and get some of my cats. And then one of your friends says, you need a cat, to put it in there in your chicken run so that they eat the rats. Can we look at this case? My first question is, do we understand the problem? The farmer has a rat in the chicken run, right? That is the problem that he has identified. But did she ask herself further questions? Maybe yes, maybe not. But then let's look at the solutions. Come get cats, they will need cats. So the solution, some friends are saying, my friend, buy cats or come and get my cats and put them in there. What do we see could be the challenges with that decision?
Yeah, I think they thought about it. Maybe
okay, McDonald is breaking. The cats will...
I think they will also eat the chickens.
The cat will eat the chickens.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thanks. So it's showing us. Okay, I have one more question. Is there anything wrong though with using cats? You can type your answers. It's fine. Is there anything wrong with having cats? So we have responses from Laurie. McDonald said the cats will eat the chickens. And then Laurie is saying, depends on context. Essentially, there's nothing wrong with having cats, right? Yeah, there's nothing wrong. Okay. Chena is like, as long as you don't put Sibanda here, it's like, there's nothing wrong with cats as long as they stay outside the chicken coop. Stanley says, not if they do not eat the chickens. Not if you like them. So there's nothing wrong. Okay. And then Spanda is bringing another dimension here from the living room. It's saying, you know, cats are useful in other spheres, not necessarily inside the chicken coop. So here we're also given a scenario of how we can have a decision seemingly well-intended that actually these cats are going to eat rats. But then we also forget that no, both the cat, the rat, and the chicken are actually food to the cat. So what could be another option that this farmer can do in your context? How would you help a farmer who just saw a rat in their chicken run? We're doing holistic decision making, and how much we just decide with such a narrow understanding of our situation, which is actually impacting us negatively. Okay. So what could be the other options for this farmer that you could suggest? Stanley is saying, find out why they have rats. So what could be causing rats? Is there grain outside, out in the open? Is the coop secured, you know? Because rats are everywhere, right? They are part of our nature. So why are they accessing inside the chicken coop? Anna says from Laurie's end, fix the coop, for example. This is interesting. I don't know, guys, if it's actually opening up how we actually make decisions towards a context and not towards a problem or a goal or an objective. Okay, he's giving us another example in Shona, Mr. Sibanda. I'll be sharing with you guys. There is a song by Oliver Mtokudzi. I'll say it in Shona. It says, Twaga. My Shona is blessed, so it's okay, just forgive me. So, Twaga chikonzero, chaita kuti msoro uteme. So he says, find out the main reason why you have a headache. So instead of taking paracetamol and avoiding the actual root cause of why you have a headache. So we tend to keep treating symptoms of a bigger problem than going to the root cause of the problem. So that's what we are seeing also in this picture. I really enjoyed these examples because they are making alive our decision making. So someone here says, move the chickens so that they follow a system where the chickens are in the same place all the time. Pests are there like rats. Okay, so keep the chickens moving so that there's a system that the chickens are following, and then you tend to have diversity of life when that happens. Another example would be, for example, we had, I think in East Africa, because we have our East Africa sisters and brothers here, they had that desert locust that was really ravishing their trees and crops in East Africa. I think it must have been a year or two ago. You know, and we saw the solutions that governments and well-meaning institutions did. They brought in aeroplanes that were flying across the place, spraying at the what? At the locusts. What are the chances that the desert locusts actually found a place to thrive. And some people say desert locust, it means the eggs thrive in the desert. The insects actually lay eggs in that background, and then the eggs become insects. So where would you disable the locust from spreading? Maybe regenerate the land. It might look like it's gonna take a long time, but regeneration, you have your immediate results, medium term, and then long term. That's why we talk about the future resource base, so that you don't have the problem of the locust ever again, because your condition of your land will not allow it to thrive anyway. So these are all these examples. And again, we don't have the actual answer for this farmer because we don't know her area. But what we can encourage her is to think broadly, think that's what helps. The root cause of the problem? Probably not, because rats are so many in the bush, they'll keep coming. Maybe if you fixed your coop, maybe if you moved your chickens, and then will this action help or harm what we manage? So you're likely to run at a loss because your chickens will be eaten. And then will this action help or harm our relationships? You'll be angry at your friends. They gave you cats and the cats have eaten your chickens. So in any situation, will an action that I'm doing cause my relationships to thrive with others, or will be fighting? And then the next one, will this action help or harm my livelihoods? Obviously, the business will start going down. And then how do I feel about this action now? So now we are not even asking about facts. We are looking at ourselves, the feeling. How do I feel about this action? Should I do it or should I not? There's a question that Laurie asked about, Stanley, can you read it again? As we close, we are...
An example of how an opportunity that comes up to you or your organization or your village, and how the context helps taking you towards the future you want.
Okay, so can we create a situation though, so that we really work with something living? Let's say what are they coming to donate? This will help us also, understand that. I know that we sit mostly in meetings and say, there's this donor that has come. And usually our elders always say, oh, we welcome you. You are welcome. Come, let's work together. But then if we look at our context, what are they bringing? What are they suggesting that we work together on? Does it resonate with us? Can we give an example of a donation that a donor might be bringing that we could go through and test?
I had
an example.
I had one case in Liberia, which is actually a real case. Was that I went to Liberia together with agroforestry, and their mandate is to introduce agroforestry. So we did all the community mapping, all the stakeholder consultation, and we saw that, I at least saw that there was a lot of agroforestry being practiced by the community from their own knowledge already. And because of the project, it is agroforestry, they wanted to put up an agroforestry project. So the conclusion was, let's introduce agroforestry to this community. But the community was saying, but we have enough agroforestry going on here, and the results of the produce are rotting. What we are missing is transport to the market. But because their mandate was agroforestry, they could not go beyond that. And so that's a typical example where the context, they are not taking into consideration the context at all.
Thank you. Thank you, Stanley. So there's already work that is going on. Communities are already producing using agroforestry principles. They have enough produce. Now you're looking, you've even brought in another dimension at the chain of production. So we have enough produce, but then we don't have the last bit in the chain of production, which is access to the market and actually converting what we have into the dollar now. So, and most of the time, you know, NGOs or donors usually have, they are described parameters, like this is what we fund or we don't have anything. So there was the power of the community. If you have a context already defined, you actually have the power to say, no, we are not able to accept agroforestry because that is not what is going to make our life complete here. Same, if, you know, I think money is generally tempting. I'm not assuming for everybody, but I'm just going to say. So if some donors come, maybe they mine in a village. You know, in recent times, we have mines that are working in villages where people are also staying. And then those people that are mining, they make a lot of money. And then they come and want to donate in your community. I'm going to use this sensitive example. It's easy to say, yeah, sure, let that money come. But what is the train of that money? How is that money contributing to deteriorating the other community? If you are truly devoted to holistic framework thinking and your holistic context, you will probably say, no, thank you. Because socially, how is this money going to mess up our relations? The other community will be like, oh, okay. So they are mining from here, leaving us with dust and everything, and then bringing money to your own community. And then the last one, which says, how do I feel about this money? Is it promoting the land? Is it promoting growth? Is it promoting regeneration? You know, an example like that, you have to consistently ask yourself, where do I get donors from? Who is helping me and what is the root source of their money? If I implement this action, is it addressing the root cause so that I will not perpetually have this problem going forward? Like food aid, if I get 50 kgs of mealie meal, in a week it will be finished. Where do I get the next one? So without creating dependency and everything. So this is how holistic decision-making helps us make decisions to economic regeneration. Let's think of it like that. What have we been doing in our community? And then next, are there any that you recognize, even others, when others have stated them, or even if you haven't been directly involved, do you realize that you have anything regenerative that you've been doing? And what kind of support do you think is needed to implement appropriate actions in your area going forwards? That's a reflective one. And then the next one is, if we were to implement regeneration, you can ask yourselves as a group, what are the best possible outcomes of implementing what we learned here today from Julius and myself, and others who are contributing? Can you think of any possible challenges on the implementation of your projects, and how do you see them as opportunities? Yes, we have challenges, but how can we turn these into opportunities? Today, so far, what have you learned that will make you a successful seeds hero? Dear family, thank you so much for your time. This was so rushed, I apologize, but I do hope that it was still worth your time.